Hello! Oh, God.
Oh, that's a way to start the episode.
Hello!
Hello!
Hello, interwebs, and welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Justice for All. My name is SkiniMini.
And I'm Pharaoh.
Last episode, we had Adrian Andrews testify, and she kind of jumbled up her testimony, saying that she knocked the vase over, and then she opened the guitar case, but then she didn't, and then she knocked the vase over, and then she opened the guitar case to clean. It was just all a bunch of crap, so now we are trying to debunk her testimony with some evidence on how this guitar case is actually a major point to the murder.
Yep. Now we gotta figure out what's actually in it besides the bright red guitar.
Yay! Alright, so you probably either want to present the, where is it? Either Lotta's photo or the Nickel Samurai, which is... Oh, no, I was there!
Ah.
Yes, the Nickel Samurai. So, present them!
This is a photograph. Yes, it is. Yes, but what's important is what's in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture, it doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is, inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What?
Sorry.
Turn off that music.
Sorry!
Phone. Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Wright, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be in doing something like that? Well, that insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she can make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone let you see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Well, just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo?
Oh my god, it could be her!
Ah. Order! Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix.
Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murder was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Mad on Guards. Why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? And inside a guitar case of all places? True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was the Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
Well, it wasn't stolen from Unguarded. The only way it could have been is a spare costume.
Which is very plausible. I mean, you're going to tell me an actor only has one set of clothes? No, they probably have 5, 6 at most, even more.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Put in the extra 5 syllables in there. Mr. Ungard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that's what I'm saying. How do you explain a costume that was inside a guitar case? Would it mean that the victim himself had planned to bring the spare to the ceremony? But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the German ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? So that's what he intended. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Uh-huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had a Nickel Samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you.
I just said I speak first and think later. Alright. This is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was...
And we'll find out. I'm just kidding.
Woo, 5-minute episode. Whoop.
Okay, where is it? You want to present the press conference ticket. Why? Because do you remember, seems like the Nickel Samurai is to confess something after the post-ceremony stage show?
Right, that man on guard didn't even realize. He's like, I had a thing to do after the show? He didn't even know. He didn't even... So, yeah.
Exactly.
Eggs.
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 Eggs. What is this? Eggs? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something after this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? For once. But what struck me as strange is what Mr. Ungard himself said when he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Carita himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for this very conference. Mr. Carita was going to hold a press conference as the Nickel Samurai. Oh. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would a victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Carita, posing as a Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Man on Guard. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure. Well, yeah. Miss Andrews?
I can see why you are pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Oh, you couldn't tell us earlier, huh? Miss Andrews, please offer an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him. That was also me.
You?
What?
This woman.
I know, she about to get on my last nerve.
She's been on my last nerve.
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. Well, that's what he thought, anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
What?
Oh, crap.
What could it be? Do you know what the secret of Mr. Ungard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Wait, what?
Protect Mr. Ungard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems.
Woman, you need to tell us everything, because we are sick and tired of doing this back and forth, because I'm tired.
I know, we act like we don't got lives. We got, we have nothing to do besides listen to you babble, babble, babble. Oh, wait, Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Female.
Woman, girl, being, I don't know.
From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan, no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt like I had to protect him. What?
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If there are no objections, I feel that I can pass a verdict based on this testimony.
What? No!
Are you stupid? Oh, now then, Mr. Wright, if you please. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I had to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Okay.
Alright, let's do this. Woohoo!
Alright.
Alright, where did she say... When she talked about the evidence, that's kind of, interesting. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing. And my thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. Even though it claimed that earlier the knife was planted by the killer, so it's like, what?
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage.
Then what about the button?
The button?
It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
Oh, you're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the police of Matt Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Well, looks like you're outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
What? Did you just say?
I swear to God, I did not say what you think I just said.
I'm gonna have to bleep you on my channel, dude.
I didn't say that, though.
Okay, alright. I'll just have to go back and view it.
I mean, what was that? How does that even make sense? It looks like you're out again, Mr. Wright. Enunciation is a very important thing when it comes to voice acting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and you can tell we're bad at it.
More specifically me.
Yes.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony.
I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Ooh, Mia gave it, girl.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me.
With an icy stare, yes.
She read my mind?
I think because she's dead, she can read your mind.
Oh, now you gotta remind me she's all dead.
Well, I mean...
I know. Yeah. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
That button was torn off Juan during his fight with Matt. Hold the phone. Hold up. We're gonna present some evidence. Where's that autopsy at? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look. Time of death, 8:15. Caused strangled with a scarf. Stabbed with a knife.
Like, oh, here's the autopsy report.
What?
I couldn't find it. I was like, where the hell's the manila envelope? We have like 3 of them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he was strangled. Huh?
So how could there be a fight? I mean, he can't really fight somebody if they're strangling you, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
So, present that mug here.
This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf.
Strangulation?
The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. What does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. The button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume. When? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle.
Crap.
Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight.
Ugh.
That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Care to explain that one?
Yeah.
Order, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim has already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve?
Mm-hmm.
What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it?
Not to have a memento and not to destroy the evidence, but to pin the crime on guard.
There's only one logical reason for us doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
Oh my gosh.
And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is a real killer, then? Someone turn off the lights. Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point.
Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end.
The real killer, the person who planned the frame. Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah, I was like, well, that is not the judge.
The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... Next episode!
No, in 16 minutes they would kill me.
Well, I would do it during the good old days of YouTube when we didn't have unlimited time. Okay, never mind.
Oh my gosh. The real killer, the person who framed Mr. On Guard, is none other than Adrian frickin' Andrews.
Ba-da-da-dun!
Da-na-na-na.
Link, get out of here! Hey, out! Put down that pot!
I'm not talking about the clay one.
All right.
In court and it's okay. Sorry, it was stupid.
No, well, maybe. Miss Adrian Andrews, I choose you.
Pikachu.
Pikachu!
Aw. You are Mr. Corita's killer.
What?
Oh, there go our glasses again.
Up 3.
Order! 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 Mr. Wright! This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence?
Wait, what did we just go through all? Oh my god.
All the evidence points to Miss Andrews, you idiot!
How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me.
I can't, can I? Would you care to test me?
Oh. Then, what about this knife?
The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Okay, that's 4.
Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama?
This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were a person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. Oh, jeez, how many glasses do you have?
Jeez, girl.
The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside a guitar case? It could have only been the person who prepared a costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews.
No, She looks different.
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. But, oh, that's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was a classic dazed discoverer of a dead body.
Ugh.
And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe that this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not?
Please, stop.
Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify.
What was that?
There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Oh, shoot.
Doggone it. Are you serious?
Apparently. Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. By allowing witnesses to not testify, the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What?
Phoenix.
Why are you acting all surprised?
Oh, I hate this. You know this. You're a lawyer. You went to school for umpteen years. And how do you not know the law, man?
Pleading the fifth. I think everybody knows that.
Jeez. Okay, let me calm down. You calm? You calm, Pharaoh?
I guess. No, he does know. See, look, pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot.
Yes, it is. That's the first thing they say. I plead the fifth. It's like I
What?
plead the fool, but...
I plead the fifth.
Oh my gosh, Phoenix. Sorry.
Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room...
Oh, this is me. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? All right.
That's it. That's when Franziska planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things looked bad.
You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done.
Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? Ugh. What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this all too well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial?
What?
Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definite proof.
Definitive.
Definitive. I got it. See? Give me time. Proof that Miss Andrews did, in fact, harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida.
Dang it!
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove as either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence.
No! She's taking that definite attitude again.
Defiant.
Me! Dang it. Defiant. Mia! What should we do besides taking pronunciation classes?
Well, somehow we've landed into the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
No!
But that's not true! In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that's to declare a recess.
No! Okay, recess, that's fine.
No, recess is not fine, I think. What does he mean by recess? So, recess? I request that both the prosecution and defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial...
No!
Tomorrow! No, we can't do that.
No,
we
no,
can't
no,
do
no,
that.
No, we can't do that.
We don't have a tomorrow! If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it! This isn't about that! Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is! Please, let the trial continue! If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Edgeworth?
It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
What?
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that's very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Where's my mouse here? Miss Andrews! When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and?
I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
Oh my god, what's going on here? I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
That rhymed.
Oh my god.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you... please.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry. I was stirring for a good hour.
Yeah, you were. Alright, well, thank you guys so very much for watching. We're gonna stop the episode here. And cross-examine her in the next episode. Thank goodness Edgeworth saved our booties.
Booty.
Speaking of booties...
You better shut up right now.
Oh god, if they only knew. Alright, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and if no one's told you that they love you today, I do.
You know, they're just thinking of what you're just saying here now.
Oh, exactly, and it is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. If only.